Welcome to Tusks Tales, a place where every hunt becomes a story worth telling. From the first track on the ground to the last echo of a hound's voice, every moment holds meaning. Together, we'll explore the hunts that formed us, the dogs that inspire us, and the stories that keep our community strong. These are the tales that keep the fire burning. Hello, y'all. Welcome to Tusks and Tales. Sorry. Excuse me. As y'all know, I've been bringing on quite a few reputable hog hunters. This gentleman I had the luxury of meeting at Uncle Earl's. Clearly, I was a nobody because he said, "How did you find out about me?" Well, I met him at Uncle Earl's in Michael Spieler's tent with Hardcore Hog Dogs. Great guy. He was cool to talk to. Talked a little bit about some tournament stuff. Now, I'll let him introduce himself here in just a minute. With that being said, I got a few announcements I need to make in the beginning. I've had some people reach out to me regarding me wanting to post their dogs up for sale, mention them, kind of like an ad. Guys, we're in multiple countries now being listened to. We have our analytics are through the roof right now. I can't even keep track of them on the platforms anymore. We're booming and we're excelling in this. So reach out to me if you're wanting to, talk about. I'm not posting your dogs that are crossed with a poodle and a chihuahua. Come on now, let's be more realistic. Reach out to me. We can potentially talk about what you got up for grabs, and I'd be willing to share it to the public. If you got a business or something, maybe we can reach out and talk. I don't really want to say sponsors and stuff because I don't really know how to work that yet, guys. I'm still new into this. I know how our sponsors are for hog tournaments, but this is a podcast, so I'm not quite sure how that works out. We might have to do some discussion back and forth. With that being said, though, I do have a couple personal friends that I do want to announce for y'all that are looking for a truck or a new AR-15 or a cooler. I got a buddy that has all three up for grabs. It's called a chip pool. What you do is and I'll put the link in this podcast. You can find it, click on it, and then message that individual about the chip pool. It's 100% real. We've already drawn them. We know these people personally. You can win a Dodge Cummins, and that's first place is Dodge Cummins, or I guess if your chip's pulled and you don't want the Dodge Cummins for some reason, which is a truck, by the way. I don't have all the details on that yet. I'm sorry. But the Dodge Cummins, second place is a brand new in the box still AR-15. And third place is a badass cooler, I think. I don't know if there's more prizes than that or whatever, but what it is, it's a 1 through 200. So whatever chip you pull is what you pay. And if you pull 28, for example, and 28 is drawn first, you win the truck. So you just won a truck for $28. Now, I think a lot of the big numbers are already pulled, like 200 and stuff like that. So whatever you pull, you pay. So if you say you want to pull 3 chips and you pull 175, 174, 173, well, you're going to have to pay all 3 of those. But the truck clearly is way more valuable than $200. So in the AR, even I think the cooler's even well over 200. Don't get me quoting that, but guys, I wanted to mention that first. Now, another thing I've covered a little bit is the in the previous podcast before this, I got stuff scheduled out for future dates, and this certain individual scheduled on a certain date to drop. But in the podcast you're going to listen to in the past, I've talked about me trying to keep cats on the yard to take care of snakes and mice and stuff. It's never happened because these damn plot hounds running around here, treeing them, getting them to run off. What happens to cats with a bunch of little plots running around, puppies. Y'all can just take a hint from that. But I got another buddy that's got some little shorty Jack Russell Terrier things. Don't quote. They're papered. I know that 100%. And he's been doing the work for me around this house. I ended up getting one from him from their last litter. I got it from a buddy down the line, but it's from his last litter. And man, that thing catches me so many snakes and mice and rats. He's torn through my camper floor in my front yard. He's torn through the back of a refrigerator to get to mice. They're destructive, so if you don't want something destructive, I wouldn't recommend getting them. But if you're one of those that's not a cat lover, or I'm not a cat lover by any means, but if they take care of stuff for me, I'm going to keep them around my yard, but they just can't stay because of the little pups. So if you want something that's potentially going to hunt that small game, them rats and them mice, reach out to him. I don't even know if he's got any available anymore, by the way, but I'm gonna help him out, and that's kind of the stuff I want to do. When I was a foster kid and younger, I listened to Trader Joe's a lot in the morning. It was a little radio show, and they would, I've always wanted a bunch of money to buy this jet ski here, this boat here, and that's the kind of stuff they'd promote. So I'm trying to help out the hog hunting community. If there's somebody I can help in the hog hunting community trying to get rid of something, even if it's not a hog dog, if it's a freaking collar or a cut vest, reach out to me. Maybe we can work something out, get it posted. That's all I really got to mention. From here on out in the future podcast, I'll have all these announcements hopefully pre-made so I don't have to do it with the guest on live. But right now, I'm dealing with what I got. So thank you, sir, for letting me spiel through that. Now, with that being said, our guest today, another reputable man. He does tournaments. I've heard some stories about his tournament. Seems like I can't remember if he got screwed out of one like we did or if it was the other way around. I don't remember exactly. The guy's got some dogs all around, period, for multiple different things. Now, with that being said, do you mind telling us your name, what kind of dogs you run? Kind of be a little specific on the dogs you run. I've noticed a lot of people lately, they're like, well, curse. No, it's crossed. Well, tell us what it's crossed with. And then kind of the places or where you're from, of course, and then, the areas you've all hunted. They include states, if other countries. Just kind of give a good detail about you. Let everybody start feeling out who you kind of are.
All right. My name's Dakota Greer. I'm from Pollock, Louisiana. I've got I heard Justin Becker say it the other day, kind of a Heinz 57 crew, I guess you call it. My dad has mainly a Catahoula line of dogs. He's got the old school block-headed Catahoulas, and that's kind of what I started with. There's a fella out of around Columbia, a couple guys bred some dogs, and they come up with a pretty good dog. And a friend of my dad's got some puppies off of him, and then my dad crossed it out with his Catahoulas, which they're the dogs I'm talking about from up around Columbia. They're yellow dogs.
Okay.
But he crossed it out. He crossed that dog out with one of his Catahoulas that come out of his old rock line, and that's kind of what I ended up with. Other than that, I have some dogs that come out of East Texas. A buddy of mine from over that way, I got two from him, which I don't have those dogs anymore, but they are crossed into what I got also. And they were yellow dogs. So they're a yellow dog and a Catahoula cross.
Okay. Well, shoot. I mean, that's fair. You wanna cover a little bit on all the areas? Actually, what else I want you to cover? I kind of said this is going to be mainly hog hunting. After you cover all the areas you've really hunted, do you mind telling them what I know you got multi-purpose dogs. Can you just inform the listeners of that as well?
Yes, sir. I've hunted Arkansas, I hunted East Texas, and Louisiana. Mainly, I stay in Louisiana, but like I said, I've hunted with a buddy of mine in East Texas, and then I've hunted in Arkansas also. But my blood dogs, they're I got into blood tracking because during the deer season around here, it's hard to run your hog dogs, and we don't shut down during deer season, but we get real limited on places we can hunt. And I've had dogs since I was old enough to sit on one, just through my dad, and so during deer season, I didn't like the fact I couldn't run a dog hardly, so I ended up taking a Catahoula cross that I bred. Me and my dad bred to hog hunt. I took a puppy out of it, and I said, I'm gonna try it. And I had some friends of mine that was into it pretty good, and they kind of helped me get started as far as training one on the blood tracking, and that's kind of where I got the start on it. And then I had another friend of mine that had a bloodhound puppy he wanted me to try. He got it as a pet, and the dog got too big for it to stay in the house. And he said, man, he's got too much drive for me to keep him inside my house. And I said, well, I'll take him and see if I can't do something with him. And man, he's a lot of people don't like a bloodhound, but that dog there, he just don't hardly miss. If that cur dog can't come up with it, he's going to, whether it's hurt bad enough to come up with it or not. He makes it happen.
No, that's we got a bloodhound as well, and man, if I'm gonna be honest with you, and I ain't told this is future podcast, but if I need to find some hog sign, it might take me a good, like, say I'm free casting, okay, and I'm dropping my plots and whatnot, or not my plots, or younger dogs, and I'm trying to find a general area of where to even drop them. I've had our bloodhound, because I've just ran him on hogs when I first started. I didn't know no better. I just did a little bit of, like, hey, they got a good nose, I'm going to put them with a cur dog and a plot hound and blah, 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 and they're all going to be a team. No, it don't work like that. But I stuck him out there, and now that dog is what I consider my scouting dog, but he is absolutely the last dog I'm putting on a hog because he is so damn rough. That dog, he's literally a running catch dog. He's slower because his nose is always to the ground. So if he magically somehow gets a hog to check up and he's getting face to face and they ain't going to break because he's in their face, he's catching it. And he catches just like I've posted videos of him. He catches just like a catch dog on the ear. He'll howl like he is baying while he's holding on to that hog. So don't underestimate, what I'm telling people out there. Don't underestimate a bloodhound. They're a different breed. Trust me.
That's right. So mine's he's kind of the opposite of rough.
Really?
He'll take a track. Like, I'll give you an example. Last year, me and a buddy of mine tracking a deer, and the lady, I'm not going to call her name, but the lady she thought her barrel was outside. She was shooting out of one of those redneck blinds.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she thought the barrel of the gun was outside the blind, and it ended up being to where the gun was laying on a shelf inside the blind, but her scope was high enough that she could see over it, and she couldn't tell that her barrel was still on the inside of the blind. And she shot through the blind and hit this deer at like 50 yards, shooting through that metal blind, and she broke him down in the front end. She broke his front leg.
Oh, shit.
Well, me and a buddy of mine dropped him to his cur dog, my cur dog on it, and I had left my bloodhound in the truck. Well, after about, I want to say we were a little over a mile and a half in, and they were just kind of like, they were telling me that when them dogs, if I drop them on a track and they leave wide open, I can just about tell you if I'm going to look at that deer or not. If they leave wide open with their nose on the ground, 9 times out of 10, we're going to look at him, whether he's dead or alive, But if they don't act like they're interested in it, they either missed or he's not pumping any interdigital gland scent. And they took it, but we got so far in, and it was like the deer quit pumping any kind of scent out of his interdigital glands. And so I went back and I got that bloodhound. I put that bloodhound on him, and he took the deer another probably a mile and a quarter. And when he bays, he sounds like a train horn. Just
yeah.
And I told Jesse, I said he's looking at him. Well, we got close enough. Them cur dogs heard him, and they went in there and they caught him. But he had 2 cur dogs hanging on him, and that bloodhound was standing back 15 feet, just
damn.
He's not. I wish there's times I wish he was rougher, because a lot of times he's the first one to look at a deer.
Yeah.
And if it's a tough track and if it breaks and runs with him, I mean, he just drops his nose back on the ground and goes behind it.
Wow. That's, I mean, you know, speaking of that little, you know, we're talking about deers real quick. I know, guys, we're going to get back on a hog hunt here in just a second, but I mean, you know, I got these Slovakian kopos. Have you ever done any type of research on them yet regarding wounded game recovery?
Are they any kin to the Bavarians?
No, they're actually not. I know everybody gets that misconception, because if you look at a real Bavarian mountain hound, a lot of people look at the facial features and automatically give the assumption that a Bavarian mountain hound is a bigger statute dog, but it's not. So they have no relation to the Bavarian mountain hound at all. Let me tell you, they look like a black and tan wiener dog.
Really?
Yeah. And I just got them not too long ago, and a gentleman had puppies out of the 2 I got here. He's got a puppy that he uses for wounded game recovery, and he said you can't beat the nose. Like, you literally can't. He said he's taken man, I don't want to get to lying on here, but he got into a big old debate with somebody because I shared a picture of them, and he shared some astronomical statistics on his wounded game recovery with his Slovakian Kopov. And they're also known as the Black Forest Hound, but they have nothing to do with the Black Forest. So I didn't know if you've ever done any type of research regarding them on the wounded game recovery, because they weren't even bred for wounded game recovery.
Right.
They were bred strictly for boar hunting in low numbers. You know, they're not really a pack dog. But
that's right.
That's why I was just curious, real quick, asking if you've done any type of research on them or knew anything about them regarding the tracking deer.
No, I seen where you had posted them, and that's the reason I asked if they were any kin to the Bavarian. I got some friends of mine that run Bavarians tracking deer, and to me they favored them in the face, you know. So I didn't know if they were kin to them in any kind of way or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna look it up and triple check, but I'm like positive they're no kin at all. Period to them. I know they're the national dog of Slovakia. They're very, very, very strict. I've been calling about these dogs for over a year. Like when I first got into hog hunting, and it was actually my buddy. I got these dogs actually for my buddy, and then he ended up saying, like, that's too much responsibility. I just want a puppy off of them. I was like, well, shit. Because you get a breeding pair, there's requirements like you got to neuter them, you got to spade them, we have the foundation stock in the United States. So, I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's got some, but I'm not sure who it is or who to even get in touch with. I know Wikipedia says Chris, but I have his too. So, I don't want to get on here lying and give some misconception of some stuff, but while we were on that topic, I figured to ask you if you've ever heard about them or not.
Yes.
Because I know people are buying them, like, they're starting to release them from Slovakia to other countries now. I guess it's taken forever. And these 2 are directly from Slovakia. So they're very, I mean, they're legit. But I just wanted to cover that real quick. I know that that's just you and I probably should have just talked to you about that privately. But whatever, it's talking about dogs, and I know that's what a lot of people want to hear on here. Now, sorry. So let's get into your hog dogs. Now you mentioned you got Catahoulas, of course. Is there any specific line? You said yellow dogs as well. just to help the newcomers, even the seasoned guys out a little bit, is there any specific line if somebody's wanting to run a Catahoula cross with a yellow dog? When he refers to yellow dog, by the way, guys, I'm assuming he's referring to a yellow blackmouth cur. Am I correct about that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is probably boring for these reputable hunters that I'm bringing in here, man. I'm sorry. I just confirmed this because these new guys may not know. So when he says yellow dog, he's not referring to your buckskin plot hounds you got out there. He's not just referring to some mutt yellow. He's saying yellow blackmouth cur. So if somebody was wanting to get that cross, a Catahoula and yellow blackmouth, do you have a specific line they come from, or you is that just your family line? What are we talking there?
Man, honestly, when we breed dogs, we breed them for what they do.
Okay.
A lot of people breed for color. A lot of people breed for people got all kinds of different reasons they breed for. But when me and my dad do most of our breeding, as far as the puppies we get, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't get bred. And like I said, the Catahoulas he had is just an old school. I know you know what I'm talking about. The old school block-headed, big, pretty blue leopard eyed, and you don't see them much anymore. He had an old dog that he called Rock, that come from Junior Rambo. The guy's probably been dead going on 15 years now. And he's the one that had those dogs before Dad did, where Daddy got the puppy from that started it. So they go so far back that, I can't really tell you, I'd be lying if I told you full details on them.
Huh.
And same way with the yellow blackmouth, them boys from Columbia, there's two of them up there, and they breed the same way. They breed for what they do. I was just fortunate enough for my dad to be friends with them older guys up there, and I got handed down some of it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Not a lot of people get that luxury. With that being said, you know how hard it is. I'm sure, even though your dad had that connection, can you tell even the seasoned guys or somebody that's like, man, I hear a lot about go hunt with an old timer, go hunt with an old timer. You got somebody new coming into it. Can you kind of explain to them the reality of actually being able to go hunt with somebody that has knowledge, or how you would really tell them about starting out?
Man, it ain't nothing to me. It ain't nothing like hunting with an older guy that's been around and done it for a long time, because pretty much everything that I know, and I don't know everything. I learn something new every time I go to the woods, but everything knowledgeable that I know come from either somebody that's done passed on, or they've done got to where they're not hardly able to get in the woods anymore. And if somebody that's been doing it that long, 30, 40 plus years, tells you something, most of the time you probably ought to put it in your back pocket and hold on to it.
Yeah. But with that being said, what's the likelihood of actually being able to go hunt with somebody like that? Say you're brand new to it, though. You are fresh into it. You're just going to message this guy out of nowhere and ask him.
I ain't gonna lie, them older guys are, if you don't already know somebody, they're kind of hard to get in with, or hard to get to teach you anything, really. If they don't already know you, or you don't have any kind of connection to them. Yeah. And a lot of them don't like the social media thing. And that's, I believe that's some of it, that, they don't like their dogs being put on social media. They don't like, them older people are private. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know a couple that, man, I've had the luxury of being able to talk to, and I've actually personally trained a real big breeder's name. I trained his lab, And this was before I was into hog hunting, and then I like reached out to him again to like get in connection, like get some more advice, and he's like, I'm not about that. Like, I don't do the whole social media thing. And it was kind of like a slap in the face, because I was like, man, like, I figured you'd be the first one to come out and help, educate people regarding this. And he's like, we'll see how it goes. He's like, I've turned down so many people. He's like, if I were to do it with anybody, I would join your podcast because I'm liking what you're doing, but I'm just not big on wanting to know. I'm like, everybody knows who you are. I'll never say his name unless he comes on here, but it was just a slap in the face, because I was like, man, there's no way this guy's really going to tell me no, but he did. He said, we'll see how it goes and how it turns out. So, like, with that being said, you mentioned earlier you do some breeding, right? I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what kind of traits are you looking for? No more deers. Let's get away from the deers. Let's get away from the deer for right now. What are you looking for in a hog dog, a puppy, straight from it hits the ground? Say you're giving away or selling or however you get rid of dogs, whether you cull them or not, you want to keep 2 from the litter. What are you looking at for them 2?
As far as like what
traits.
I'm looking for in the parents when I breed them to figure out if I'm breeding them or what the puppy's going to make.
Yeah, actually, let's do both. I haven't done that yet. Let's go over the parents and then go over the pups. Yeah, let's do that.
And I mean, as far as the parents go, I mean, if I got a dog that is constantly producing me hogs, he's got the drive, he's got the hunt, I can tell that it's every dog's different. You have very few that can. I'm going to say you have very few that can do it all. They are out there, but a lot of times you'll get a good dog that is lacking one thing. It may be you may have one that can run a hog and stick with a hog for endless hours, and has a hell of a nose, but he may not cast, or you may have one that'll cast and you not see him again when you put him on the ground until he's looking at a hog, but he doesn't have no bottom to him. And I try to, when I breed, my dad's the same way, I try to breed based on the dog that has the most to offer. I'll give you an example, and I didn't mention this dog a while ago when I was talking about what I had, but I've got an old Catahoula he's a registered Catahoula. He come out of Stuttgart, Arkansas, and I kind of overlooked him for a long time. I started out hog hunting him, and he got cut down one day, and he didn't show me. I just didn't think he was it. You know what I mean? I mean, he'd go bay a hog, but he wasn't very old at the time either. Yeah. And I was like, well, maybe. And I'm kind of touched back on the deer tracking thing for a minute. I was like, well, maybe I can track deer with him, and I did. I tracked deer with him for a while, but the more I went tracking deer with him, I started figuring out that he'd leave a deer track and he was going to bay hogs if it was hogs in the area. And I was like, well, that ain't going to work. So I went back to hog hunting him, and I don't know if it was where I laid off of him for a little while and I let him get out of the puppy stage, but I mean, it was like his light switch flip, and it was crazy. And I was like, I told my wife one day, I was like, where did he come from? And but that's me being able to I could still take that dog and deer track with him and hog hunt with him, and I thought it was pretty cool that I could double him. There was times that I'd had to go get him off a hog, put him back on a deer track, but I thought it was cool that I could double him. And dog had a lot of bottom. He had a pretty dang good nose, and he was the last cross I've made last year, and I'm hunting his. I'm sure you've seen me post on Facebook here lately, but I'm hunting his two of the puppies I kept off of him right now, and man, for them to be just a little over a year old, they're doing awesome. They made disappoint me tomorrow, but right now they're working.
That's good. That's good.
But mainly just breeding to the dogs that has the most ability is what I'm going to say. And as far as covering all of it, run a hog, stick with a hog, has the bottom, has the nose. I mean, that's what everybody's looking for, right?
Yeah, I know. That's why when I ask that, I everybody wants to say the best of the best. That's why if you could potentially go into traits a little bit more, I guess, because we know you want to say best to the best. But I think it takes a lot to really breed the best of the best.
That's right.
In my opinion, opinions are like, assholes. Everybody's got one. But in my opinion, from what and clearly I'm still new to this is why I'm asking y'all, because I want to make sure I go into breeding properly. Labs, I could do it all day long, and I could school everybody that listens to this probably. I'm not being cocky, but I could tell somebody how to really breed a lab. Now, when it comes to the hog hunt community, and I want you to kind of piggyback and finish on where you were at, but hear my perspective of it as well. When people say best of the best, I tried to ask people, okay, what traits did this dog have? And it seems like I offend them when I ask them that, because they'll fall back on something and be like, well, this dog had this, this, this. Well, and this dog had this, this, this. Well, those this, this, this are two different things. So you're really not breeding the best of the best. The thing you should say is, my female dog, my bitch, had the nose. She had the drive. She had the bottom. She had the grit. Not too gritty. And you know what I mean by not too gritty. And every single one of those traits should match up that male. But every time I ask somebody that, they never do. They never match the male, the top and the bottom. They never match. So when people say the best of the best, it's like, you have a better one out of that. So you can't say this is my best and this is my best. So, and I get most people go, well, this is my best male, this is my best female. Well, she's missing some traits, or he's missing some traits. So why are you saying it's your best to your best? Because I guarantee there's a pup out on that yard, or another dog out on that yard, that has two of those traits that male dog's missing, that you're breeding to her. You see what I'm getting at there?
That's right. And that kind of goes back to what I mentioned from the start. I mean, it's hard to come across a dog that kind of like what you're calling the best of the best, because to me, and in my experience anyway, and I'm kind of picky on a dog, but there's always going to be one thing that I want them to have they don't. You know what I mean? And then the next one may have it, and he may be lacking something that the previous one had. Does that make sense?
Yo, yeah, I'm in agreement, 100%. I'm letting you tell the reins from there. I'm listening to you. I'm in agreement with it.
As far as puppies go, I mean, I kind of let my puppies free range as much as I can. I turn them out and just kind of let them be a dog. It helps. My dad's got a pretty big place down there. He's got cows, he's got horses, and a lot of times we'll just turn that whole litter of puppies out down there, and normally within a month, 2 months old, they're out there trampling around that horse pasture trying to bay cows. They may be standing 100 yards back from them.
Yeah. But
they're out there baying. I say baying. They're barking at them. They found something that struck their curiosity, and to me that really gives those puppies a jump start, just being able to go kind of figure the world out. Instead of just.
You did mention you're okay with them, on guys. He said cows, by the way. So I know a lot of y'all. Well, I got to make sure mine's cow broke. Blah 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 blah. Please cover that ahead of time, Dakota. Please.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't run into where I hunt. I don't really run into cows in the woods. But if I did, am I going to tell you mine won't bay a cow? Absolutely not. But I try to put enough handle on them that's a big when the dog starts getting older and he starts figuring things out, and I know that he's going in the right direction. I start immediately trying to get a handle on him, and and a lot of them it comes natural too. Some of them it don't. But most of not most of them, all of them, I can call off a hog. Some of them I can call off. Some of them I have to tone them. Same thing with a cow, and those puppies pick up on that pretty quick. My dad's got a couple of them older dogs that he stay in the yard down there, and they'll be out there baying with them puppies, and he'll holler at them two older dogs, tell them to get out. Well, when they leave, them puppies will leave them with them. And them puppies pick up on get out pretty quick.
Oh yeah, really.
Especially, a puppy, if an older dog's standing there baying a cow, just for saying, them puppies is barking at it because that older dog's doing it. You know what I mean? Well, you holler at that older dog and you say get out, and they start heading back towards the house. That puppy's like, well, they're not baying no more. I'm gonna go with them. Where are they going? And that's just, to me, a puppy's like a kid. You keep a kid locked up in the house. You don't let him go outside and play in the yard or ride his bicycle down the driveway or whatever. Well, if you keep him locked up until he's, just say, 7, 8 years old in the house because you're scared something's going to happen to him, he hasn't learned anything. Well, then you turn him loose at 7, 8 years old and he knows absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Man, I like how you put that. Hell yeah, keep going with that.
So that's kind of what I base my puppies off of. And you asked, what I was looking for in a puppy. Well, if I got that litter of puppies running loose and I got 4 of them that's out in the woods, pilfering around, figuring stuff out, or out there baying the cows or baying the horses or whatever they're doing, and I got 2 or 3 that's laying up on the porch, don't hardly get up, I'm not going to say that I look down on those that's laying on the porch, because a lot of times, and a lot of people look over a dog that's a late starter. But they're probably not going to be my first pick if I'm going to pick me 2 out of the litter, the one that's laying on the porch,
Yeah.
But I have seen it to where one of them dogs that was laying on the porch come 2 years old, and it was like you flipped his light switch on, and he'd be doing better than one of them that was standing out there baying the cows at 6, 7 months old.
Yeah, so, you mentioned a little bit of that, like you seen him laying on the porch. So, hold on one sec. Sorry, I'm writing a little note because I got to ask you the second one. But the first one I wanted to cover is, you mentioned I rarely write down notes, but you're going on very good, like, you're going in a good direction that I kind of want to help cover. I haven't covered this with anybody else yet. Now, you mentioned laying on the porch. I've already said that, but it's kind of, I don't know if I want to look at that like a feature. Now, when I'm picking out pups, because I've already had my own hog dog litters, and I've kept pretty much all my stuff, besides a very select few, like very, very select few. And it's not because I'm saying my stuff is great or nothing like that. I just don't want shit getting out there and just getting that's not what I'm trying to do. But when I'm looking at mine, for example, feature-wise, you said laying down, you see that's probably not going to be your pick. Now, feature-wise, I hunt over a lot of water. So I'm looking for stuff like webbed toes. I want a longer-legged dog. With these these Bayou Cajun plot crosses that I got going on out here. Of course, I got my Bayou Cajuns, and people know what a plot hound is. There's really not much features you can pick out of a litter of that because they're all going to be that old-timey plot hound look. But when I crossed with to make the 3/4 plot, quarter cur, I wanted to pick out a shorter snout, if that makes any sense, feature-wise, because I'm hoping that gives them the drive to maybe potentially keep their nose in the ground still while hog hunting, And then if a good hog's jump, they're not really wanting to stay to the ground no more. They're wanting to hunt with their nose up. Yeah, I could be on the wrong track. I could be completely false, completely making up bullshit that's never going to happen. But in my mind, I'm hoping that works. And the long legs, like I said, very long, lengthy legs, and a nice slender body, and a little bit tight shoulder spread. You get where I'm going with this. Can you kind of give me some? Do you look at those features, or is that just me overthinking it once again?
Man, the only thing I can really relate to on that is I had an older guy tell me, and this kind of goes back to the bloodhound a little bit, that, I don't know the truth to it. He told me that if a dog having longer ears like a bloodhound does, he said that a bloodhound, a lot of people don't realize that they use their ears to track with.
It funnels
the scent. And he said that they if you've got a bloodhound, you know what I'm talking about. They slobber terribly when they're on something. And he said that, you know
what that's for, right?
I was told that it funneled back to his ears, and it created a scent barrier between his nose and his ears.
Oh.
Now you may know more than I do on it, like I said.
Well, I'm new to this still. I could be wrong as well. Maybe both of us are on the right track and one of us might be wrong, but we're just sharing conversation here. I heard that there's a crease in the nose, correct? And of course, people are sharing this bullshit on Facebook now for every dog, which I don't believe that. But I heard, it's getting the excitement of the bloodhound going, and it keeps there's a little crease in the nose, and there's I can't remember what they called it, but instead of that falling down gravity-wise, like falling down to the ground, it'll go up the nose, like up the crease, right on their top lip, and it'll help, like moisture the nose to keep it fresh, and instead of drying up, and it'll keep producing scent. So
that's pretty well kind of what like I said, this was something my older fella told me, and I've just kind of remembered it. And that's kind of, I may not have said it exactly right, but that's kind of the same, what you're saying is kind of the same direction he went. And I have noticed, you take a hound, for instance, a lot of your hounds, plot hounds, they've got a longer ear than most cur dogs.
Yeah.
If you see a cur dog with long ears, he's got some
hound in him.
Some little bit of hound in him somewhere, and I've kind of, I'm kind of getting off subject here, but
no, you're good. Hey, there's no subject. Let's just talk, man. I'm liking it.
I have a plot a plot puppy. She's 10 months old. It's first plot I've ever owned. And you may know more of the line than I do. She's a Redwood Hicks and got a little bit of Pocahontas in her.
Woo-hoo! You got some fire.
Well, she's about 9 months old. She's found me 3 hogs. She's a little on the rougher side.
She will be.
But, man, that thing, I've got to figure out how to... She will rig anything from an armadillo, a deer. It don't matter. If she can smell it, she'll rig it. And I've got to get her pointed in the right direction on that, because she rigs. I don't know what she's rigging. A lot of times I'll have to check her with a cur dog, or just,
yeah.
or I'll make sure nothing else is on the ground, and I'll put her down and see what she comes up with.
A snitch dog. That's what I call him. I got a yellow dog out there. That's what she is. She's my snitch dog. One of my plots get to doing that shit, drop that yellow dog. I'll find out real quick if they're lying to me or not. That's
right.
So,
like I said, she's not but 9 months old, but she's impressed me pretty good bit to be 9 months old. Like I said, it's my first plot, so I'm new to it. But we're going. My idea was, when I got her, if she turned out like I wanted her to, I wanted to cross her over into my cur dogs a little bit. That'll be the first time.
That's my best dog right now. Is half plot and half cur, but yeah. It is Bayou Cajun, and then Weatherford Benz, which is not my line. It's my buddy's line. But he is I say my fucking Jip is my best dog, but my wife doesn't. She says, nah, that dog's shit. But, yeah, that is, right now, if I need to go find a hog, that's the dog I would take right this second.
That's right.
So, yeah, I got my plot out there. He'll do the same thing. He's just, that plot and cur dog cross just seems a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get to lying to people out here, but yeah, I mean, and another thing, you mentioned the plot, and I'm surprised that she's doing what she's doing for you already, because even though I've been doing it for a little over a year and a half, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. The curs I got out there seem like they picked up like immediately, like in a few months. But not as consistent and not as rangy and not as I want to hunt. These
right.
plots are starting to really come on, and it's like I don't ever want to touch a cur. I sound shitty by saying this, but I don't even want to take my cur dogs out to hunt anymore, because it's just so easy to grab my plots. And I'm not being rude. We're having conversation. I'm just saying honest. It just
That's
works
right.
for me that way. So I don't know, but it also, I've heard, even from Mike himself, they take a while to get going. They're not your, like a cur dog. From what I've heard from other people, you can get going in 6 to 9 months, when a plot hound might take you 1.5 to 2 years to be really, I guess, functional.
I'm pretty honest about my dogs, and I'll say what I got to say about her. The only problem that I've really got with her right now is she don't like to stick a track as long as I'd want her to. And like I said, she's young, but I called Mike whenever I started noticing her doing that, and I said, look, this is what I got, and I told him, and I said, this is what she's doing, and he told me exactly what you just said. He said, you let that dog grow up. He said, I'd start looking for it around 2 years old.
Yeah,
I'm assuming he relayed the same information to you from listening to you talk.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was actually, no, I'm going to be honest. I never heard that from Mr. Mike until, I'm being straight up, until I did my podcast with him. I actually never heard that from him. And I'm not sitting here trying to act like I know everything. That's what I was just about to say. I don't like saying that, because there I go again, only being 1.5 years in this, talking like I know something that I really don't. But I'm just saying, from my experience, that's what happened. And when I did bring that up to Mike, he was like, well, I was going to tell you that. Like, when we talk, I've talked to him plenty of times personally outside of the podcast on the phone, and a bunch of times. And I've sat on the phone with him for hours. Not at one setting, but I've talked to him for hours. And when a man stops you and says, how do you know all this about me? You've done your research on that dog, on that line of dogs. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And I did my research, and never once did I really hear, and I could be wrong. Somebody could say in another podcast or something that he's mentioned that, but that was my downfall, that I ended up telling my buddy that pointed me in the direction of this line. I said, man, gosh damn, they take forever to learn shit. Even at 1 year old, they look fully grown, ready to hunt. They seem functional, and then you put them on a hog, and they're not there.
That's right.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not sugarcoating shit to anybody. If you want a plot hound and you don't have 1.5 to 2 years to put into it, don't waste your time or ruin that dog. Call me. I will buy that dog from you. If it comes from a reputable line, like he just said, Pocahontas, Hicks, if it comes from any Shamrock line, you're not going to find Weems anymore. It may be deep down. But Bayou Cajun, guys, I will give you cash money for those dogs. I don't give a damn what age they are. It's just the people that have those dogs like you, they don't want to get rid of them because they know what they got in their hands. You don't see... The plot hound word is so loosely used. Same thing with cur dogs. Everybody says they've got a plot. I got this plot. I got this plot. And then you're like, what line? Oh, it's this bullshit. No. You can tell the real reputable lines in the plot hound world, and I'm not trying to be that Mr. Know-It-All. I'm just being honest. if you're getting a plot, more than likely it's not from a good line unless you're getting it as a puppy. That's what I got to tell everybody for advice.
Man, I probably looked for 2 years, and like you, that's how I become to know of Mr. Mike, because I was kind of looking at lines of them, and I didn't just want any, somebody on Facebook say, "Oh, I got some plot puppies for sale." Like, I wanted to know what I had, and a buddy of mine in Arkansas had a connection up there, and that's kind of how he ended up getting 3 puppies, and he bought 3 puppies, and he gave me one of them, and he's running the two litter mates to her. He's running on bears,
yeah,
and he sent me this one. He said, "You take out one and put it on hogs, and see what we got." So I mean, like I said, I can't complain too much with her. She doesn't stick a track like I want her to right now, but after Mr. Mike told me that, I said it made me feel better,
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know very many. I don't know if your plots started out rough, but
yes,
I say she's either rough or really dumb, because she's she's fixing to go. She's 9 months old, fixing to be 10 months old, and I've sewed her up 3 times.
yeah. So I have 3 in my backyard, if that tells you anything, that have been to the vet or are no longer with us. So yeah, I know, and I'm telling you, when I reach out to people for plot hounds, my own buddy, my really good friend, he had a whole litter. He was going to give me one. I said no, because I was being hard-headed, because I had like 4 plots on the yard at the time, and I was like, I wasn't being rude. I knew he took his pup over to Mr. Mike and had it bred to Showtime. So first of all, that's going to be a jam-up line, period. And I knew he could sell them, so I was trying to be like, I wanted them to make the money off of them because they're the nicest people and help. Man, they've got me going to where I'm going. They really have. I got to give them credit. And I got to give credit where credit is due. And I really wish I would have took one of the damn pups, because, he'd give them to me. But I ended up in a dilemma, and not a bad one. I just didn't want to take. I expected he could make money off of it. I was going to have my own litters, and man, I had some great. They just, like I said, in a blink of an eye, then dogs can be taken from you. It sucks. It really does, especially with how hard it is to get any reputable line like that. I mean, like you just said, 2 years you've been kind of looking, or what? What'd you say?
Yes, sir. Probably around 2 years. I've kind of, like you said, I kind of done some research, and because I didn't know. I mean, I've never had a plot, and I didn't want to go. Like I said, I didn't want to go get one off Facebook. Somebody said, "Well, I got a litter of plot puppies." Like, I wanted to know what I had and where it come from.
Yeah.
And so part of that was partially my fault, because I was pretty picky about where I got it.
Yeah.
And like you said, you don't just go get one off that line real easy.
No, And the people that claim they do, like, they're lying. I got a buddy. I'm not gonna name drop, but he's right around this area. He just went and picked one up as well, and he's like, "Hey man, like, already talking to me about breeding them," and I'm like, I would like that, but I want to respect Mr. Mike as well. He's still alive. He's doing great. He's got years left in front of him. And I don't want to breed my stuff to the wrong person and then get because his dogs can sell for way more than what he sells them for. Way more.
That's right.
And so people, I respect that. I wish other people would. And there's people that don't, that are up north selling them, that come from his line. And it really kind of irks me a little bit, because that man done a lot of time, and I respect a dog man, a houndsman. That is a legend. That is a pure legend. I've done plenty of research on him, and I believe a lot of respect goes into that. Now, I love what Mr. Mike has done in the plot hound world with the hog dog main focus, and he's honest about it. Like, when I got one of mine, he said he couldn't have another litter of them because, well, he probably could, but he shipped one to Sweden, which was the daddy of one of mine. And I was like, well, shit, I'm kind of in a dilemma now because that male didn't make it. But I ended up finding a litter mate, and the guy was able to sell me a litter mate. And dude, I mean, we could talk about plots all day. I'm sorry, I don't want to sit here and bore everybody because, you know, I could talk about plots all day long. I just want everybody to know I'm passionate about it, and if, like, Mr. Dakota's having issues right now, clearly, with, you know, holding a track, and she's still young. Like I said, if you do not have at least a year and a half, at a very minimum, don't even mess with a plot hound. And that's just from all the knowledge I've gathered from everybody. And if you know, Mr. Dakota, you got anything else you want to cover on that, you know, feel free to.
No, I mean, you pretty well covered it. I do want to say, you talked about Mr. Mike, you know, talking with him. I've never met that man in person, and I picked up the phone and called him, you know, and asked him the questions, because I knew if a man could tell me anything about a plot, it would be him.
Yeah.
And, man, he's a super guy. He had no problem giving me information, and I think we talked on the phone like an hour and 30 minutes, and I'd never met him before in my life.
Yep. That's how he is, man. He is. My wife ended up going there to get my dogs, and this guy is just welcoming. He's just a man. I just wish everybody would take the time out that are interested in plot hounds, and all these people that actually throw around that they quote unquote got a plot, and it's not a plot. It's a black and tan crossed with a brindle cur dog, but they just want to say it's a plot. I believe they would really start respecting the hog community if they would sit down and talk with Mr. Mike and see the effort that man put into the plot hound world. You know, they got never mind. I'm not going to get into it because I can start talking about. Oh man, I get stuttery when I talk about plot hounds. I get bad because I'm very passionate about the plots. I would have one just to be a pet if I had to. But there's people out there that does not give Mr. Mike enough credit for what he's done in the plot hound community. Period. I think he should be recognized way more than what he really is, because I believe he's continuing a true, not just, I'm breeding it because it supposedly came from this line back in the day. If you read a lot of books regarding plot hounds, you'll find out that that's why some of the breeding is still going on. Mike's not doing that. Mike is breeding them specifically for big game hunting.
That's right.
The man's credible. I mean, he's got shit over in Sweden. I mean, everywhere. So there, I just don't want to start getting offensive towards people. I will really, really quick on how I feel about it. So I'm not even going to go there when it comes to that. Because
that's right.
If I respect anybody in the plot hound community, period, there's a very select few, and Mr. Mike is most definitely the number one that I know in the plot hound community that would pick up his phone for any of y'all listening right now. He would pick up a phone for a guy that had no idea what a plot hound was and would tell you every detail. But there's people out there, and I'm not going to say that would never give you the time of the day, and they are supposed to have way more knowledge than Mr. Mike does, and they don't. So I get touchy on that because I've done a lot of research on that, and I want that tradition to stay alive. And if you're passionate about hog hunting and dogs and even plot hounds, you would feel the same way regardless if you like a plot hound or not. You want this tradition to stay alive, and that's somebody that needs to be recognized. And I feel like some of the stuff he's been on, he has not been recognized enough because the people interviewing him or talking to him did not have the knowledge to even question that gentleman. I could offend a lot of people really quick, but I don't want to do that. So, let's move on from that one if we can.
That's right.
So, if you know, we got into a little bit, you know, you picked out your traits on a dog. Starting out a dog, how do you start your dogs out by chance?
As far as like young dogs, you talking about?
Yeah, hog dogs, young ones. Let's go away from. Say you had to restart tomorrow. You didn't have any good going dogs. How would you recommend and tell these newcomers, or even seasoned guys that are struggling, they can't get their dogs to go again? How would you get them going?
Man, I like to. I try to put my young dogs in hog sign. Whether that be, whether I'm feeding, running no camera, or whether I just know that where some hogs are staying, or I'm running, these cell cameras nowadays, I mean, it's kind of a cheat code.
Oh,
because you can take a young dog and you got hogs coming to a camera. I would suggest taking that young dog and dropping him on a camera hog, like dropping him in the corn pile. But if you can get within 300 to 500 yards of him and cast it, I personally like a cast dog. And cast that dog, let him go out, make him around and see if he can pick that hog up. Sometimes I've seen them pick it up. I've seen them pick the hog up, and you can tell that they picked the track to where the dog was going, where the hog was going to the corn pile. Sometimes they'll pick it up leaving. But I like to try to give my young dogs the best chance at success, because the more I'm gonna kind of go back to the kid situation again. Say if you got a kid playing baseball and you take him to baseball practice every single day, and he sits on the bench, or he practices and during the game he sits on the bench. He's not having any fun. And if you take a puppy to the woods and you put him in the woods, and there's no hogs anywhere around there, no matter how hard he hunts, and he goes 4, 5, 6 times and he doesn't get to look at anything, it's no fun to him. So the more fun you can make it for him, the more he's going to like it. If that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I try to give them the best chance at success, especially when they're young. Now, the older they get, I back off them a little bit as far as camera hogs. Unless we're in a competition, we run a lot of camera hogs, but.
Yeah. Everybody does in tournaments, we all know.
That's right. But as far as just fun hunting, they get older. I want them to go come up with their own. I'm personally not going to go hunt a place that there's absolutely no hogs on. So when I turn them loose, I know there's a hog there somewhere. I want them to go find it. But as far as young dogs, that's would be my main suggestion is put them in hogs as much as you can, whether it's sign, whether it's you feeding hogs. I've went as far as coming home from work and seeing hogs in a field and calling the lady and being like, hey, you mind if I go drop these puppies on them hogs in that field? And doing that, just a quick evening deal. But, just putting them in it as much as I can.
Yeah, so with that being said, I ran into a few problems when I first started out that I would like to cover. See, I didn't cover a lot of these in my first podcast because I want to share them as we progress with this podcast and I get some more knowledgeable people, and you're probably going to be a good one to answer this. Now, especially with how you said you call somebody in when you see them in the middle of the field, be able to drop your dogs, do a quick hunt. Well, see, when I first started, I was doing that. I was not calling people clearly, but I had cameras out, and here was the problem. I was taking advice from what I've heard from multiple other places, and this is the whole reason we started this podcast, is to hopefully point the people in the 100% right direction. They're like, get pictures of hogs and drop them on shoats and sows and whatever you can when they're on there. Okay, so I did that. I was taking 3 or 4 dogs that I had, and I had 12 shoat or like 10 shoats and a couple sows show up, 12 hogs all together on camera. I was really getting doubtful, and people can talk shit on me all day long. I don't care. It took me 8 months to catch my first hog. So we're talking, this is months of this going on. I have multiple cell cameras out. I have multiple hogs come to these cameras, and then you can say, oh, you got shitty dogs. Well, these are the dogs that are doing it for me now still, by the way. So, but when they were starting out, I would drop them, and I would notice that they could never finish out a hog. I was dropping them 1 minute the hogs were on camera, and 1 minute the dog, like the very next minute on the camera photo, the dogs were on that, and they never got any of those 12 hogs ever stopped. And we're talking shoats and sows. Now, I know how I dealt with that situation and how I fixed it. But do you, and I'm not saying it's for everybody, I'm just trying to get your advice if somebody were to get in that situation, because I'm sure it's going to happen.
You get my advice on exactly what are you asking.
So what would you do, you know, if you're dropping multiple times on those cameras and you're 3 or 4 months in, like 3 to 4 times a week, and they still haven't finished out one of those hogs?
A lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but like I said, it goes back to the dogs baying the cows and stuff in the yard. They kind of already know somewhat of what baying is, you know. But I prefer to drop a young dog on a small boar. I'm gonna tell you, them sows and pigs to me is the worst thing to drop a puppy on, because them pigs scatter. The puppies are learning to take a track, and there's so many tracks there that they don't know which one to take. They may take one, and they're like, they go so far, and they're like, man, I ain't come up with nothing yet. So they come back, and they pick up another one. And something else, sows and pigs, I've seen some shoats run like a big grown boar hog would run, you know. And if you don't have a dog that's experienced enough to run it, that can be tough on a young dog.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. I try to get if possible, and I know it's not possible for everybody. I'm fortunate enough to have some places that, you know, it's got a decent amount of hogs, and I can kind of pick what I want to drop them on. Now, I'm not going to drop them on a 250, 300-pound boar hog with 3-inch cutters. You know, but if I get a 180, 100, 120-pound boar hog, and he's by himself, I'll try to. If I'm free enough to go do it, we're going to go try to bay him. And most of the time, you know, a hog like that, or around my area anyway, they'll back up and bay. Once a dog looks at him, he'll turn around and he's going to fight that dog, and that puppy's going to stand there and bay him. Now, that's not going to be the case for everybody, because I've been hunting with some people that it didn't matter what it was. It was you was getting ready for a race, you know. And I don't know what y'all's situation is down there, how good y'all's hogs set up. Up here, we had a lot of old timers raised, you know, blooded hogs back in the day, and before they put the stock law in, and you know, they free ranged them, and they got mixed over in with the woods hogs. So we still have a lot of that blood floating around up here, and those hogs bay real good.
Yeah. No, I see down here. I'm, you know, a year and a half still. Keep that in mind. I have hunted multiple states, but and I'm biased. I'm bad, but I have had a lot of those. I've had a lot of people come hunt it, and I mean, we do got runners. I can't tell you how many times people have come and hunt with me, and they tell me, man, y'all got to come hunt up here, up north, or out east Texas, or Oklahoma, Mississippi, Arkansas. Like, you know, I've heard these other states where they're supposedly easier, but then, of course, all those people from that state swear their hunting conditions are the hardest. But the people that have come down here and actually hunted this area are like, that's some rough shit. Y'all hogs are runners. They just run. I mean, I've hunted with people that are like, man, them are runners. And I'm like, no, they're actually pretty easy today. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, we stopped it within 2 hours. They're used to just dropping in 300 yards as a hog there. So I mean, that's kind of like our territory, but I mean, you covered it pretty good, you know, with like how, you know, getting, you know, a dog going, because that makes sense when you got a, you know, boar hog that'll bay up. Majority of the time a boar hog will bay up, especially with, you know, a couple littler, younger dogs that are just pretty much seem like they're booger barking out there when they're really not, but that hog don't give a shit about them. He knows what he can do to them. But where I made what I was getting at, like I said how I fixed it, where my mistake is none of these dogs ever seen a hog before, by the way. So then I never let them bay shit because they were just in kennels. So they didn't know what baying was. They didn't know what they were supposed to do. So what I did is I ended up buying a hog and found out real quick that them dogs didn't even know what a hog was, period. So that's what I was getting at. Like, I made a beginner mistake. So how I fixed it is I bought a hog. I started introducing it to him, and it was magic. I'm not kidding you. The next week, I'm not saying you got to put a hog in a bay pen or nothing and start making it be, show it a hog in a pen every single day. But I set them dogs up for failure is what I'm getting at. And a lot of people would have culled them. 3 to 4 months running 4 to 5 times a week on something and they're not stopping it. Majority of people would have culled it if I'm correct. And I just showed them a hog and they started baying, and I took the select few that bayed, 3 or 4 of them. I took them back out there, and I promise you, the very next time we went, it was like 6 o'clock at night. And it was hot as shit in the middle of the summer. And we dropped him and we caught a hog. We caught a sow, a good sow.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to tell you. If you've never shown your dog shit, regardless of whether it's a cow, I've heard people starting them on chickens. I've heard people starting them on goats. I've heard people starting them on any type, something, bark at some shit. Cats, whatever. See, I failed my dogs because they didn't know what the fuck they were going out there for. You know what I mean?
A lot of people, I don't want this took the wrong way, because a lot of people don't have that option. It depending on where they live, or you can't. It'd be unfair for me to say, well, somebody that lives inside the city limits and they've only got a half acre of land they live on shouldn't own hog dogs. That's not true. It just helps having a place that, kind of like what I said earlier, the puppy can learn he can learn the world. He go out, whether it's baying cows or baying horses or like you said. My wife's got a pen full of chickens up here, and when them puppies are just now really getting around in the yard, they don't know what that chicken is. They're standing back booger barking at it. But after a while, they're like, that ain't no fun. They'll go find them something else. Just them, not necessarily baying something, but just learning, getting out and figuring out what different things are. And the baying part helps. I'm not a fan of sticking a puppy in a bay pen a whole lot. Just because I personally feel like you're giving it to them. Starting them out, I can see it being done once or twice just to kind of show them what a hog is. But yeah. After that, I really could care less if they're baying a hog. I just want them out hunting something. No matter what it is, until they get to where they figure it out. And now, just when you take a dog, some people take a dog and every 3 times a week they'll take him up there and drop him open the gate and drop him in there and let him go down there and he'll bay the hog. Yeah. Well, every time that you do that, that dog knows he left his kennel, he got on the fool or whatever you took him on, and you took him when he left that fooler, he was already looking at that hog.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And he gets in repetition of that. Well, you take him to the woods, you take him out of his kennel, and you put him on that same fooler. Well, when you turn him loose, there ain't no hog there. And he's used to, all right, well, where's the hog you've been showing me? And then he doesn't want to, I ain't going to say he don't want to leave your feet, but you've got him in a repetition of you showed him what he was looking for every time.
Yeah.
There's a fine line between showing them, letting them get used to a hog, but they still got to learn to hunt, and they've got to have the drive and the bottom in them to go do it on their own, and a lot of that comes in with the bloodline, or what they come out of.
Yeah, so
that makes it a plus for sure.
Yeah, so you're pretty much saying, like, if I gathered that correctly, they're pretty much getting a reward for doing nothing. So they're going to think every time they get on that buggy and actually go out to the woods or the four-wheeler or whatever, that reward's going to be there, and they jump out like, oh, it ain't here. What do I need? What do I need to go do? Type deal. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's like I said, that's just my opinion of it. But that's what I'm saying. If you, I believe in doing it a couple times just to get them used to a hog and being around the hog and knowing that whenever they come across that track in the woods and they take it and they get to the end of it, and that hog, say they get to the end of it and that hog's laying in his bed and he jumps up and he runs at them, well, they already kind of have an idea of, I know what that is. I've seen that at home. They don't just break and run backwards from him. But then again, if you let them do that too many times in the pen, they think that it ought to be given to them every time. They ain't got to go find it themselves.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like that. I do. So we're jump on to the next one. I've asked pretty much everybody age range. You get it. Where do you start your? All right, it's a coal. Are you? What age are you looking at? All right, it's about time that this ain't gonna work out. It needs to go. Where are we at on that with you?
Man, I'm gonna say 3 years old.
Ooh, I like that one. Shit, you're giving them some real good credit. I'll tell you why that is. A lot of my dogs start out early. They don't have everything I want early, but they showed me enough for me to keep pushing them. But I have seen, like I said earlier, that dog that just really wasn't doing a whole lot, and his light switch flip at 2.5 years old. It just depends on the dog. I mean, I've seen whole litters that way. I've seen litters that started out at 7, 8, 9 months old, and I've seen whole litters that you're like, man, what happened with this cross? And then all of a sudden, 1.5, 2.5 years old, they start showing you something. They start picking it up. But I'm going to say, as far as the culling process, 3 years old, but really they need to be showing me at least an interest in it by a year, a little over a year. I'm not saying that they need to be everything I'm looking for in a young dog, but they've got to show me that they got something to do with it. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, so you hear a lot. I'm big on the Facebook stuff that I'm telling people, do your research before you buy a dog from somebody. So, and you mentioned that they should start, showing you some interest by a year old. Now I've seen people, what I would say, Cole, I've watched them, man, it's embarrassing. 3 months old. This dog ain't 4 months old, 5 months old. This dog ain't even showing interest towards a hog. Fuck it, it's a piece of shit. It's done for. I get that there's been dogs out there that have showed interest to a hog at. I've had them on the yard 8 weeks old. And it wasn't nothing I bred. It's just what I tried from somebody else. And guess what? By the time they were 6 months, they really kind of lost a little bit more interest, and they went downhill more than they went up. So it could go either way. Clearly, I'm just letting everybody know that. Now, the Facebook, you said, you want them showing interest by a year old. Now, you're going to be the first one I ask this. So maybe, this is something I plan on asking everybody, I hope, in the future, and we get some good, positive answers from it to help newcomers. Man, Lab World, I can tell you what a started, seasoned, and finished level dog is, okay? This Facebook shit of this is a started level hog dog and then this is a finished hog dog, there's no in between ever. You hear that. You never hear anybody say, well, this is a seasoned level hog dog. Let's try to, you and I mean, I'm asking you first, clearly, and I plan on asking way more people in the future. I just thought about it today, but there has never really been a definition of a started hog dog. I want everybody's opinion. Of course, you're going to say, well, I don't want everybody to think this is the one. or this is the definition, but can you give your definition of what you believe a started hog dog? You know, when someone posts it on Facebook for sale, what traits should that started quote-unquote hog dog have?
Man, my answer is going to be real short to that, because I'm going to start out with you mentioned the finished dog, and I'm going to start with that and go backwards if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. I know where you're going with it, I'm sure, but yeah, let's go that way.
You see so many people, you know, they've got a finished hog dog for sale. And you see it all the time on Facebook. I have very few finished hog dogs, and I'll tell you why. I've got one that I got, and if you follow me on Facebook, you've seen I got one, was 2 years old, not too long ago, eaten by an alligator. And when that dog took his last breath, that's whenever I considered him a finished hog dog. And that goes with any dog. A dog is like a human, you know. A 80-year-old man still has something to learn at 80 years old. No matter where he's been, no matter what he's done, there's something each day he lives, he can figure out something, you know, that he didn't know yesterday.
Yeah.
And I feel that's the same way with a dog. The word finished hog dog kind of cringes me a little bit, because I don't ever consider it. Yeah, there's good ones. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. I mean, there's great ones, but there's always something for that dog to learn. So he's never finished.
Yeah. And real quick, while you're on that, I want to tell the listeners where I messed up on this, by the way, because he is right the way he stated that. It took me a while to figure that out. I had zero idea, because I was always the big one, like, I want a finished dog. I'm looking for a finished hog dog. I agreed with there supposedly being quote-unquote finished hog dogs, and I put it in those words, and I'm glad he explained it that way, because I kind of do take it back a little bit, but I don't want to sound like I'm backpedaling, because that's not the type of person I am. When I say finished, I mean like in the lab community, we had standards that you would receive as a UKC title that was started, seasoned, finished, and then junior, senior, and master in AKC world. And then you got your SRC. You got a bunch of different hunt competitions in the lab world that, you know, once you're finished. But the way the hog dog world is, from my understanding on his as well, and he finally put it into perspective to me again, which I've heard from other people as well, but I'm glad he mentioned that, is there is something that dog can always learn. Same thing in the lab world. There was always something them dogs could learn. But when you're selling them dogs as a title, we knew they were a finished dog because they had that title. But that doesn't revert over into the hog dog world. So that's where I got the misconception, by the way, and I want everybody to understand that when I refer to as finished, and gosh damn it, that's that newbie coming out of me. He is right. There's always something that a dog can learn. There's always something more that whether it's a bitch, a male, it don't matter. There's always something more that they can learn. Now, I'm sorry for interrupting you there. I just wanted to show where I was wrong on that side, because I agree with you 100%.
No, I mean, it's really, I mean, it's opinionated for a lot of people, because, I mean, like I said, there's good dogs, there's great dogs, and some people may consider one what they consider to be a finished dog. Just my opinion, none of them's ever finished until, you know, it's their time to go, because they can always learn something. And I'm not saying, you know, somebody may have a dog that can do it all. That's an awesome dog. That's a great dog to me. He's just not finished. Yeah. You know, if that makes sense. I don't want somebody to take that the wrong way.
No, I'm no, it's fine.
But as far as a started dog, I mean, if a dog's, if I can take him on his own, and whether I, like I said earlier, whether I put him on a hog that I know was 300 or 400 yards in the area he's in at a camera, or whether I drop him in some hog sign, if he can successfully take that track or pick that track up and go get bayed, to me, I mean, he's started. He's roughly started. Now, that doesn't entail him, if that hog breaks, him sticking with that track. You know, we're talking about young dogs here.
Yeah.
That doesn't entail him sticking with that track. If the hog runs, you know, for 4 hours and him sticking it out for 4 hours, that's just me being able to put him in an area where I know there's hogs and him picking the track up and going finding me one. That's him. He's roughly started to me.
Yeah. I agree with that. I do. And I mean, to kind of piggyback off that, you know, what most people are selling started hog dogs, when you get into details and ask them, you ask them, what's a started dog, or what are you know, saying your dog started? Well, it's seen a hog in a pen. My 8-week-old pups and whatever, they've all seen a hog in a pen. So you're telling me my 9-10 weeks old could be sold as a started price? I don't believe that's a started dog, because it'll bark at a hog in a pen. And that's where a lot of people get a misconception, a huge misunderstanding as well, with a started level dog. And I agree with what he said. I really do. I might not go that extent, and I mean, everybody's all right to disagree. He's got a different standard. I would potentially, which I will never buy a dog again, period, off Facebook. But the only thing I would say maybe started wise is that it took the track, and I watched it on the Garmin, and I know where the hog last was. And I'm basing this also off of our terrain, okay? Majority of the time, you're not getting a hog to stop right. I've never had a hog even come close to stopping damn near the camera. But if the dog does get there to the camera and barks, opens up or something, and I at least know he laid eyes on that hog, I would consider that at least started, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
I just, to stop one, you know, it's, and then that's when we go into the strike, bay, catch. You know, you got your different types of dogs, man. So many people are like, I got a strike dog. Well, I do have a strike dog, but it's not gonna bay right away. Usually it'll find the hog for me, and then, because that's one of his only jobs he can really do, but he's great at finding a hog, so he's like my find dog. And then I have a bay dog that backs him up. So, because he's never stuck it out, but he has that good team skill of finding the hog. So I'm not going to get rid of him, because I know I can drop him and he's going to find a hog. So I don't want, you know, when people say I got a strike dog, okay, is your strike dog going to strike and bay and sit the hog back down? Or is it not gritty enough to do that? It's just going to strike and let it run. And then you're going to need something to come in and back it up. Now, do you see where I'm going at with that?
Right.
Based off the wording?
To me, we pretty well said the same thing. And I'll tell you why I say that. You're kind of speaking, and this may vary in opinions too, but you're kind of speaking on the hound world, and I'm speaking on the silent cur dog side of things.
Yeah, sorry.
And I have a good friend of mine that I hunt with that's all he runs is hounds. And to me, a open dog, it takes a little longer to get a bay than it would a silent dog. To me, it seems like.
No, you're right. You're right.
And so that kind of comes into the play where you said, you know, if this dog takes a track and he opens up on it, well, he started. I agree with that, especially on the hound side of things, you know. And on the cur side of things, well, if he's silent and he's barking, I know he's looking at it. Same way, you know, if he took the track and he opens up on it, you know, he was real hot on it or he looked at it, one of the two.
Yeah.
And that kind of also comes into play with the territory where you're at. You know, if the hogs lay decently or if they run a lot.
Yeah, that's very true. Now, you know, with all that being said, you know, we've covered quite a bit of stuff in here, guys. I plan on we're not shutting it down yet. I'm just doing my little spiel like I do in every little podcast. We're coming towards the end. I'm gonna ask him a few more questions after this, but I got to get him back on for a part 2, guys. There's a lot more stuff I got to cover with him. A lot more. I'm liking where we're going. We might, if I get enough people to reach out to me, we might get him to talk a little bit about deer dogs as well. I'm just liking where it's going. I just realized we've already hit an hour and 30 minutes on this one. So, with that being said, Mr. Dakota, you got anything you'd like to cover shout-out wise, recommendations for people to talk to, anything. You can cover anything you want, anything you'd like to say to the public, whatever you want to say for all of our listeners out there.
No, sir. I will say that a lot of people, if they follow me on Facebook, they see if I post a hog and dogs, my wife is in it, and she's a big part of the reason that I get to do what I do, because the way I work, there's a lot of times to where, I want to hunt a Saturday morning, and I had to work till 8, 9 o'clock at night, whatever the case may be. She's got my garments charged. She's got four-wheelers sitting on the trailer, dogs fed. And all I got to do is come home and help her load them the next morning. Or if we want to make a quick evening hunt, I've pulled up in the driveway and her be sitting here with dogs on the rigging rack, waiting on me to change clothes. She's with me. If I'm in the woods, she's in the woods, and I wouldn't be able to do a lot of what I do without her.
Yeah, guys, that's huge. A lot of y'all out there that do have wives that like we do. Clearly his wife is a lot like mine, and y'all know how mine is. The guys laugh at me for work because the same thing with him. I'm calling her and she's like, "It's already done. It's already done." I'm like, "Hey, Garmin's here." She's like, "I got him." She knows. She's already got it set out, and those are great things to have at home, guys. I'm telling y'all, if you got it and you're in the dog world, man, you better love it. I'm starting to find out more and more that us guys that really do it quite a bit, I haven't met anybody that really has a wife that's not supportive of it. My wife is there every step of the way with me, every step. Whether it's stitching a dog up or, hitting the hog in the woods. Or catching a hog in the woods, she's there. So, clearly he's got a wife. He's giving her a shout out, giving her recognition, guys. These women love to hear you give them appreciation, I know a lot of y'all look at it like, oh, it's my wife, she's supposed to go get my stuff ready. Don't look at it that way, Look at it and be appreciative of it. And for another man to give a shout out, guys, it's of his wife is awesome and very respected. Majority of y'all ain't gonna find a woman that's gonna be like that. They're gonna play it off in the beginning. I'm not trying to give relationship advice, but they're gonna play it off in the beginning like they love it. But to really stick with someone that hunts a lot, good luck. And sounds like he found one that'll stick beside him the whole time. And I love that, man. Is there anything else you'd like to say about that?
I told my buddy the other day we went and we caught 2 pretty good bars here last weekend, and she was with me. And I knew going in, we had somebody went into the bay and looked before we went in there with bulldogs, and I knew it was 2 good hogs. And I told her, I said, "Look," I said, "I know you're used to going in there." I said, "Just hang back." She's pregnant, and she's due in January around the 1st of January. And I told her, I said, "Being 2 hogs in there, I catch the first one. That second one will break, and I don't want you standing back behind me and get run over or something." I said, "Just hang back," and I said, "I'll holler at you whenever you can come in there." Make a long story short, we caught the first hog, and the second one went about 20 yards and bayed up. So while we were tying the first one, the second one was standing there looking at us. Well, she's getting impatient because she can't hear anything except the dog still baying. Yeah. And she knows, she's got a Garmin. She can see the bulldog's tree. And about the time I clipped the bulldogs on the second hog, I caught a glimpse of her over my shoulder when I was going to it. And we got down there, and like I said, she'll be due in January. She's big and pregnant. We got down there and was trying to tie this hog. I looked up, and she's down there, got a hold of the back of the bulldog collar, and is trying to break bulldog off. And my buddy said, get your pregnant butt back up on that hill before something happens to you. And she's like, I'm just trying to help. And he said, I know. He said, that's the second hog we caught. I mean, he was pushing 300 pounds, and he had pretty good. He had pretty good cutters, and I mean, both of us was just kind of like, "What are you doing?" You know. But she's so used to helping. Now you have to tell her, like, "Look, you're pregnant. You can't do what you used to do no more." Yep. I told my buddy when we got done, I said, she has this baby. I said, I'm gonna have to take a set of hobbles, tire the foaler till I get back. You know.
I love
which
that.
we all laughed about it, but
yeah, man, I love it. I do. I really do. Now, you know, with all that being said, y'all, we're coming to the end. Guy, I appreciate you coming on. I do. I got a few more questions I got to ask you.
yes, sir.
One of them is your which if I get you back in, you know, I'll contact. We'll talk a little bit, but I want to cover a part 2. I really do. But if you had one dog out of history, it doesn't matter if it's a corgi, freaking little chihuahua that you loved. I don't care. Your favorite dog that you've ever owned and why?
Whew, that's a hard question.
Yeah. Everybody hates that one. They're like, one? Why one? Give me like 3 or 4.
Yeah. Man, I'm gonna go with that. I'm not gonna say he wasn't the best, but as far as my favorite, he really stuck out in my mind. That Pete dog that I had, that I lost here a month or so ago, that I was talking about, the alligator guy. That dog he was 2 years old, and he was really turning it on. He wasn't hard to handle. I mean, he's one of them dogs that, you know, you call him over there to you, and he'd sit down beside you. You didn't have to put him on a leash. You put him on a leash, he wasn't trying to jerk you down, jerk you around. You tap the full rack, he'd load up on his own. I mean, he was just a real good dog to handle, and he made it fun to hunt with mainly because he was so easy to handle. Like I said, he wasn't the best one I ever owned, but he was on his way to making a good one for sure. And I'm gonna say I'm gonna stick with him because, like I said, he was going in the right direction.
That's sucks that you couldn't find out. I know. I mean, I had my striker dog that I really wanted to see her full potential, and that's another pot hound, a little too rough. But you know, stuff does happen, and that's a respectable answer. Now my last question, the ultimate. What would you want everybody, if everybody knew you for hog hunting in the hog hunting world, not deer related? I know we can cover that in part 2. What would you want to be known for from everybody? What would you want everybody to be like? All right, Mr. Dakota Greer, this is the most common factor that we know about him.
We hunt with a lot of kids. I've got kids. All my buddies, most of them's got kids, and I've always told my wife if I ever hit the lottery, I was gonna do some kind of, you know, deal to where kids that never been hunting or never knew what hunting was got to go. Which that may never happen, but that was kind of something that we had talked about, and I guess getting kids into the sport of it, whether it be not necessarily just hog hunting, you know, just getting them in the woods. Period. That's a pretty big deal to me.
Yeah. Man, I want to have a little heart to heart about it for a minute, but I'm not going to. I was a foster kid, you know, and clearly I was the first generation, whatever, and I appreciate that answer. I'm going to let you know now. it's going to be a little sneak peek, but I am working hard on, and I'll reach out to you privately, but I do want people to know this for future reference. I'm working very, very hard on having all the, the insurance coverages in place and everything to be able to 2 to 3 times a year take, whether they're in state's custody, or not state's custody as in trouble, but they don't have a family, stuff like that. I want to be able to reach out to youth. I did it during duck season, but it was a lot easier with waterfowl doing it because there's not so much danger involved, I guess. You know what I mean? So
right.
I'm trying to figure out how to do that, and coordinate it. And if magically someone's out there and listening that could possibly point us in the right direction and help us, because I don't want a landowner getting a lawsuit if somebody does get hurt. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So I am in the works of that, and I love that's the best response I've ever heard right now. Period. I've heard some good ones, like I want to be known for how good I treat my dogs and my lines and blah blah blah. No, man, that's the most respectable answer I've heard, and I love it. And I'm trying my damnedest to. I really want to organize something to get kids that just don't have it involved. That it may, even if they do got a dad and a mom in their life, they just don't know anything about hunting, and
right.
be able to take them out. And I want to get a group together like you and. If Mr. Mike would, I don't know if Mr. Mike would, he does the veteran hunts, but something like the veteran hunt set up, but get all those, some reputable people with some land, and we all get together, and, not everybody's got to drop all their damn dogs, but we're bringing dogs that are actually going to catch some hogs, and, we catch 2 or 3 for them kids, and man, just let them have the time of their life.
That's right.
That I trust me, I'm in the works of it. It might be a year, it might be 5 years. But I am going to try to make that happen as soon as I can, if I can get pointed in the right direction. So, just please keep that in mind. If I reach out to you for that, I would love for you to, if you get a free weekend or something, to be able to help doing it. I don't know. It might never happen. I have no idea, but I'm going to try it.
Okay.
So, with that being said, do you have anything else you would like to cover? I'd like to bring you on for a part 2 if you're interested. Let me know.
Okay.
I want to cover some more stuff. I got a lot more topics I want to bring up. I've been jotting them down. We'd probably be on the phone for 4 freaking more hours.
That's right.
But do you have anything else you would like to say to anybody while I got you?
No, sir. That's about it.
All right, Mr. Dakota. Well, I appreciate everything tonight, man. I'll reach out to you. I'll reach out to you here in a little bit, and we'll just go from there, man. And just let me know how you feel about everything, and we'll make a future date happen.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, thanks, sir.
All right, man.
That wraps up today's journey on Tusks and Tales. From the woods to the kennels and every trail in between, these stories bind us together. Thanks for listening, and until next time, may your dogs run true and your fire never fade.